To it recording in progress. All right, there we go. All righty. Let's get started. And I'll keep an eye out for the chat in case anything's going really strange and I need to switch to something else. This is a nice little cozy spot, isn't it? All right, so for tonight, we're going to start in supported fish. We're going to do some similar moves to Saturday, but just a little bit slower and lower tonight. So set yourself up in supported fish. Or if you want to, you feel like you want some belly time, you can go down into Sphinx on your belly. Especially because this is winding down, winding down from our day. Maybe just inhale naturally, but just take a little bit of an extended exhale. Maybe do that 2 or 3 times. See if you can relax the muscles around your bones. Feel your shoulders wrap around the bolster just a little bit heavier. Another exhale where your rib cage sinks into the bolster. And maybe that final long exhale, relax through your legs all the way to your toes. This is our time to bring with us into the evening, into our days ahead, anything that we want to remember, anything that might have brought a smile to your face, anything that good that happened today, lessons learned, just any of those little moments. And then it's also a good time to allow those things that we don't want to move forward with to fall to the ground like leaves. The more we recognize those little joyous or happy moments, the more our brain wants to recognize those moments. We don't have to remember every single thing or write them down or constantly look for them, but our brain will start to adjust and crave those moments versus when we hang on to things when maybe they don't go as planned or they might be upsetting or sad. Or any negative self-talk that might be happening. Let's take a few more breaths here. Pushing our hands into the ground to slowly and mindfully peel ourselves off the bolster, coming to a kind, gentle position. To take a few breaths of pause. And now we'll come into a forward fold shape. I'm going to suggest coming into butterfly. But if you just have this feeling in your body where you just want your legs out straight or out wide, that is totally fine, because this evening we are going to move through the six movements of the spine. So the forward fold is more the focus versus whatever's happening in our hip area. So let's start to crawl ourselves forward. Nice and slow. Let the back round, allowing your elbows to grow heavy. Maybe just take a few moments just to scan through your body to see where you can give weight, where there might be tension, where you're holding it, how you're holding it. Sometimes we don't even know that we're holding it. This isn't about going further. This is just allowing our muscles to disengage, seeing where our structure just holds us up. That way we can get right to the joints and the tissues that support the joints. It's almost like getting to the foundation of a house. And just the act of our bodies being still can help us find some level of stillness in our brains, but sometimes it can be really challenging to settle. We have this goal of how much, like, settling means quiet mind, settling means still body with no sensations going on. That's not what we're doing here. We're just trying to be where we are, have the thoughts that we have, and then those little moments of stillness that we find are going to help us move forward and be able to find stillness on our own when we need it. Like still waters still have movement. That's always the nice little visual that I think of when I think of yin. Let's take a few more breaths here. And using your hands, take your time, nice and slow. Slowly bring yourself out. Moving your legs to whatever position feels good, taking a few breaths of pause. So we're going to come into cypress knees, laying on our backs. So just make your way. You can either make your way straight down onto your back. I don't really talk about this often. You can roll yourself down, or I also like to lay on my side and then slide down onto my elbow and then bring myself around. That especially worked for me back in the days where I had some more issues with my back. Side, you for less sensation. Nice little breathable edge, that tug. Maybe they don't feel it when they tuck their feet in. Switch my legs just to show you. Actually grab your foot that's tucked with your knee closer in towards the this one. The effort and the sensation. There's no need to challenge your breath, but if you would like to, depending on your day, depending on the moment right now, if you want to help support yourself into the rest and digest of the parasympathetic nervous system, just extend your exhales. Maybe give weight to your rib cage. Let's take a few more breaths here. Same cypress knees to the other side. Find that perfect spot. One page and maybe to relax a little bit into the space. Notice a sensation of shift in the front of your hip or your belly. Intensify the sensation of it. This is also tucking it under or allowing it back to arch a little bit. Here. And when you're ready, slowly start to move your legs away. And take a few breaths of pause. Now we can come into your twist of choice. For some of you, you might want to come into a mermaid twist where you use the bolster or a stack of blankets. Bring your hip up to the bolster, knees are stacked, or they don't have to be perfectly stacked. Look towards the bolster and slowly lower yourself down onto the bolster. If it's too far down, you can always place a blanket or a block underneath to lift it up. And my twist of my legs are going to be different options. We'll just talk about those. Sometimes I like to imagine twists as like wringing out whatever it might be. It might be physical, it might be mental, be emotional, whatever it might be. It's just like a wringing out. You may have read the twists aid in digestion, but maybe you think of digestion as just your food, but also maybe you could think of it as anything that you digest through your eyes, through your ears, through your mouth, through your skin. Everything that we digest needs support to be digested and discerned. Let's take a few more breaths here. And taking your time, be nice and gentle with yourself to slowly release out. You feel like you want to bring a little bit of movement to your body, do so, but just see if you can find some stillness in the body to take a few breaths of pause so that we can experience the rebound of those shapes and the compression, supporting blood flow, also supporting the synovial fluid, returning to the joints. Then we'll take that same shape to the other side. If you are on your back, or even if you're in mermaid twist, you might need to adjust the height or the leg position. We treat each side like a brand new shape. Let's take a few more breaths here. And releasing out nice and slow. If you think you're going slow, try to go even slower. Bring a little bit of movement where needed, and then slow that movement down to find nice, kind position to take a few breaths of pause. And just like so many other shapes that we do, there's so many options. We're going to come into a C curve of our spine, which while I'm laying down, I can just show you where this can be. You can do crescent, where your feet and your shoulders are tilting in one direction, creating a half moon shape. So this is one option. Another option is side lying. You use the bolster. Bolster is sideways, and then you're going to rest your rib cage over the bolster so that your hip is making contact as well as your shoulder. If your shoulder is not making contact, adjust moving up or moving down. And if it's still not making contact, you can always place a blanket underneath. So this is side lying, and then you can bring your arm up over your head. I know I'm giving a lot of options, but options are wonderful. And the option that I'm going to choose is just in a seated position and leaning over to one side. So whatever you decide, take your time. We're in these positions for a good amount of time. So moving the spine in all 6 directions. Twist on each side, C curve on each side, flexion, which is the butterfly shape, and then extension, which is the supported fish. Notice where your breath is filling and emptying. Maybe even notice where it's not filling and emptying. The closed side tends to not fill with air, so take advantage of this and see if you can expand through your rib cage. Let's take a few more breaths here. And slowly start to release out. Really taking your time. Sometimes when you are in a C curve, which we are not in very often, it can be a little bit ooh, ah, coming out. Take a few breaths of pause, more if needed, in between sides. And when you feel ready, you can start to set that up on the other side. If you're sitting like me with your legs crossed, maybe switch the cross of your legs. Finding that C curve. Finding a nice breathable edge. You might even notice when you start to inflate or expand through the rib cage, the sensation might increase and then decrease on the exhale. See if you can give weight to your hips and your shoulders, that rainbow of your rib cage over the bolster. Some might even feel this more in the hip capsule. This area here. Let's take a few more breaths on this side. Slowly start to release out. Really take your time. Coming up to a seated position. In our last shape, we're going to come into another forward fold, can be butterfly again. But I thought it might feel really nice if we came into dragonfly, so we can open up the back of our legs. You can use any sort of props that you might want in front to support the elbows, or you can even put it on an angle and support your head. So feet can just be as wide as you want. They can even be close together. This is just more of a forward fold to bring our back into flexion. Slowly make your way forward. If it's too much on the hamstrings, you can bring a slight bend to your knees, or you can place blocks or blankets underneath the knees to support. Sometimes I just need support under one. See if you can soften through your forehead, your eyes, maybe even giving weight to your jaw. Let's take a few more breaths here. Using your hands into the ground or the surface to gently unwind through your spine. Feel free to keep your legs in the shape that you chose for your forward fold, or you can start to gently bring the legs back into a kind position. Extend the exhales if you need. I invite you to bring your hands folded onto your chest, feeling the warmth from your hands. Imagine that warmth swirling towards your heart, back to your hands, back to your heart. Each exhale, it grows warmer. Imagine a large sun now in that space, growing lighter and brighter and hotter with each breath. May your sun help support you burn up any negativity, tension, things that no longer serve you. And may that same sun shine a light on the love, joy, pleasure, and strength you have in and around you. I'm so grateful for you and for this practice. Thank you for sharing it with me tonight. Namaste.